People say I talk about some weird stuff, some far out stuff. But how about that chair that you're sitting in isn't solid? How weird is that? This reality is nothing like we think it is.
When I saw what Icke is doing, I was a bit jealous of him. Wow, look at what this guy's doing.
I don't know if anybody else could do it but him, actually.
We are in a period now where speaking your truth is not just important, it's utterly crucial to where humanity goes from here. The world needs renegades. One of the things I've been saying was the plan for Israel-Palestine is that the American government, which is basically the Israeli government, which owns Trump, were going to come out with this deal of the century, which is now out. And basically they were going to throw money at it to give Israel everything it wants, the ability to take over all that occupied land, etc., and give Palestinians a bit of money to placate them. But it's just blown up in their face. The guy behind it is a very limited intellect called Jared Kushner. He's the son-in-law of Trump and the husband of Trump's daughter. And they both have a lot of influence in the Trump administration. Jared Kushner is a lifelong friend of Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu was a friend of Kushner's father, who went to jail because he's a crook. And Netanyahu would come to stay at the Kushner house and would actually sleep in the bedroom of Jared Kushner when he was staying there. So that's how far it goes back. It's when Kushner was a kid. And now we have this lifelong friend of Benjamin Netanyahu, a 100% ultra-Zionist, producing this deal of the century on behalf of Israel while claiming to be operating for the American government. And it's gone down like the proverbial lead balloon. And the Palestinians are saying we cannot be bought, and good luck to them. Great credit to them. This is the story. A $50 billion plan for Palestine's economy that hinges on peace with Israel has been revealed by Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. He calls it the opportunity of the century. It's also called the deal of the century. But a chorus of Palestinian groups disagrees. Speaking to Reuters, Kushner dangled the multi-billion proposal, which he want this multi-billion money is not coming from Israel. It's coming from countries like Saudi Arabia in the proposal. Kushner dangled the multi-billion proposal separately from the central political part of the US President Trump's Israeli-Palestinian peace deal plan. He said he did so on purpose to let people digest the less controversial side of the plan before the political details are finally heard. In other words, let's dangle the money and get their interest financially, and then we'll reveal the totality of what Palestinians have to do to receive the money. And Palestinians, when you've been in their situation, decade after decade after decade in what is an apartheid state, it does tend to make you streetwise. And anyone who observes Trump from the moment he was elected will know that he's owned by Israel, and people like Sheldon Adelson, the Las Vegas casino multi-billionaire and media owner in Israel, and again a controller in many ways of Benjamin Netanyahu, just as Adelson controls Trump. It was Adelson's say-so that got John Bolton in as national security advisor to drive the war with Iran agenda, which I've been exposing now for, God, since back in 2002, 2001. Anyway, they basically turned it down even before they hear the so-called political level of it. The interview, as well as the document shared by the White House, draws an optimistic picture of 1 million jobs created in the West Bank and Gaza, and Palestine's GDP doubled in 10 years with the help of the specially created, multinationally controlled fund. Donors would pour in some $28 billion into the West Bank and Gaza, while further investment would go to Jordan, Egypt, and Lebanon, where several million Palestinian refugees live, who were forced out through violence from Israel Palestine when Israel was formed in 1948 and have never been allowed to return. Whereas you only have to be married to someone Jewish to have an absolute right to live in Israel, but not the people that lived there before. But it's not racist or anything. Don't want to give that impression. So they're trying to buy them, and they are not literally buying it. And why would they? Because it's on an obvious scam. This is a story from the Electric Intifada, an internet website that exposes a lot of the kind of extreme behavior of Israel towards Palestinians. And this is a story about breakfast with Tony Blair, ? Program leaks for Kushner's Bahrain workshop. Expectations were already at rock bottom for US presidential advisor and son-in-law Jared Kushner's Bahrain workshop, intended to kickstart the economic aspects of the Trump administration's deal of the century. But they managed to sink even lower after the draft program of the meeting, set for the 25th and 26th of June, leaked online. Palestinians, including the Palestinian Authority and private business people invited by the Americans, were already boycotting the conference and urging others to do the same. Palestinians see the gathering as part of the US administration's plan to liquidate their inalienable rights, including rights to their land, and compensate them with financial crumbs, a new iteration of the strategy of economic peace long pushed by the Israelis. Yeah. We, Israel, won't give you lots of money, well, a few lots of money, to give us what we want. We'll get Arab countries to give you the money. It's extraordinary. The Palestinian Return Centre, a London-based advocacy organisation, summed up the feeling, describing the Bahrain workshop as an affront to all Palestinians that is destined to fail, given its misguided approach of imposing on Palestinians to surrender their rights for a limited economic boost. It's just so transparent. In fact, so transparent, it's funny, because Jared Kushner can never be accused of being an intellectual giant. So is another story before I change the subject. And it's something I've been predicting in my books for so long. The plan, the agenda, is to force the Palestinians out of East Jerusalem, where the big mosque is with the Golden Dome, because they want to knock that down and replace it with a rebuilt Solomon's Temple. And this is well beyond just the Jewish angle, because that's what the Knights Templar wanted, and they were formed in the 12th century. The fact that what they want and what the Zionist movement, the ultra-Zionist movement wants, are the same is not a coincidence. Anyway, I've been putting things on the internet and in the books for years and years and years, saying, look, what they want is to do this. And this is a story from this week. In Israel, the push to destroy Jerusalem's iconic Al-Aqsa Mosque goes mainstream. The ancient site dates back to the year 705 and is being targeted for destruction by extremist groups that seek to erase Jerusalem's Muslim heritage in pursuit of colonial ambitions and the fulfillment of end times prophecy. Absolutely what I've been pointing out, well, for decades now, is the plan. And it is to do with this end times prophecy, although there's more to know about that as well. The iconic golden dome of the Rock and the mosque, located on Temple Mount, or Haram el-Sharif, as the Muslims call it, is the third holiest site in Islam and is recognized throughout the world as a symbol of the city of Jerusalem. Yet, this ancient site that dates back to the year 705 is being targeted for destruction by increasingly influential extremist groups that seek to erase Jerusalem's Muslim heritage in pursuit of colonial ambitions and the fulfillment of end times prophecy, the story says. Some observers may have noticed the growing effort by some Israeli government and religious officials to remove the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque from the Jerusalem skyline, not only erasing the holy site in official posters, banners and educational material, but also physically removing the building itself. For instance, current Knesset member of the ruling Likud party, that's Benjamin Netanyahu's party, American-born Yehuda Glick, was also the director of the government-funded Temple Institute, which has created relics and detailed architectural plans for a temple that they hope will soon replace Al-Aqsa. Glick is also close friends with Yehuda Etzion, who was part of a failed plot in 1984 to blow up Al-Aqsa Mosque and serve prison time as a result. Quote, "In the end, we'll build the temple and it will be a house of prayer for all nations," Glick told Israeli newspaper Maariv in 2012. In a few months, I'm gonna expose all of this. In fact, it's actually only a few weeks now. A year later, Israel's agriculture minister Uri Ariel stated that we've built many little temples, but we need to build a real temple on the Temple Mount. Ariel stated that the new Jewish Temple Trust must be built on the site where Al-Aqsa currently sits, as it's at the forefront of Jewish salvation. I mean, these people are not crazy or anything, it's just a rumor. Since then, prominent Israeli politicians have become more and more overt in their support for the end of the Jordanian-Palestinian sovereignty over the mosque compound, leading many prominent Palestinians to warn in recent years of plans to destroy the mosque. And that's absolutely what they are planning. And before they do it, they want to absolutely subjugate Palestinians so that they can't stop what the plan has been all along.